Good evening, slave. Our top story is that Instagram is taking the world by storm as it's rolled out some exciting new terms of service. We'll be covering them in detail, but in short, Instagram will be able to access and record things through your camera, copy your address book, call log, text message history, collect information from everything you search online, and access and record everything on your computer. Do you think you'll agree to these new terms? Well, chances are you already have without knowing it. More on that later. But first, Instagram's new terms are getting a ton of undeserved backlash from people all over the world as they claim Instagram's new terms are ushering in an unprecedented level of privacy invasion as they spy on and monitor the public. But these naysayers who don't want to be watched while they're going to the bathroom are just touting baseless conspiracy theories while not realizing Instagram is doing a tremendous public service as they're trying to relieve people of the burden of their own privacy. If you ask me and the overlords that dictate what I say to you, it's quite the humanitarian effort on Instagram's part, and the public should accept these exciting and very protective new terms without question, because they're clearly in the people's best interest. The people's best interest. To the paranoid skeptics, it's worth reminding you that Instagram is owned by Facebook and Facebook is owned by Mark Zuckerberg, who's proven to be as trustworthy as a person can get. So if you don't trust Mark with all your private information and the right to spy on you, then you're probably paranoid enough to not trust a Catholic priest to babysit your little boy. So that we can get your trust back / have complete control over you, let's explore the exciting new details and opportunities of Instagram's new terms of use. Device information. As you can see, they'll be casually collecting information from your phones and computers that you use Instagram and Facebook on. They're entitled to everything on your computer because it's your computer. Just like if someone's a guest in your house, then they're entitled to own your house. They'll also gladly be harvesting information from other devices that are nearby or on your network. They'll also take all the information from your address book and entire text message history. Not only does that seem appropriate, it's necessary. Because how could you look at pictures on Instagram without Instagram reading your texts? That kind of technology doesn't exist anymore. And that would be like shaking hands with someone and them not sticking their finger up your butt. You couldn't do it, and it would be rude not to. From all your devices, they'll also be collecting all your information from accounts you use. That's a big one, because that's everything. Literally everything. Banking, medical, credit cards, accounts with organizations that the Iron Fist doesn't approve of. Well, now they'll know, and that's a good thing because you need to be tracked so you can be protected from your personal sovereignty and outside the box ways of living, thinking, and being free. The monopolies of Instagram and its mothership Facebook are now happy to monopolize the rest of the internet as well by telling you you can't use a domain name or URL that's the same as your Instagram username without Instagram's prior written permission. Kind of like a restaurant telling you you're not allowed to eat food unless you're in their restaurant and it's their food. That would be an appropriate analogy except for the fact that restaurants aren't allowed to open. This just in, food is not an essential business, but Instagram is. With this exciting new no domain names that are the same as your username term, now approximately every influencer is automatically in breach of Instagram's terms. A rather suspicious trap. Will it be an easy way to justify deplatforming anyone at any time for saying anything that goes against Instagram's tightly controlled narrative? This just in! The censors now have a red button on their desk labeled deplatform instantly. They're expected to use it a lot to protect their user base from free thinking. What kind of information will Instagram collect? Well, just a little bit. I mean, practically nothing. Look over there, there's something to be scared of. They'll record what you see with, in their words, our camera, which is really your camera on your phone. So if your phone's in the room with you, they'll gladly watch you bang your spouse. They'll also be able to see your children naked. But there's a perfectly good reason for this completely inconsequential term. It's so they can suggest things like masks and filters. Filters? Yeah. Like if you're on the toilet taking a dump and they see your face looking a little too ugly, then they'll suggest a certain filter to make your ugly face look better. And that's just charity. Oh yeah, and suggesting masks, That's awesome. When you're not being compliant with surrendering your freedoms, they'll give you a friendly reminder to put a mask on. And they definitely won't report you to authorities when you're not being obedient. They wouldn't do that. Oh yeah, and they'll also have your GPS location, so they'll know where you're at all times. But the Nazis wished Instagram was around to help them locate all the Jews, but we can pretend history doesn't repeat itself. Back to how they won't report you to the heavy-handed authorities for breaking their draconian rules now that they know where you're at. They don't even have a connection to the corrupt arm of the government, so how could they report you? I mean, aside from when they did the bidding for corrupt officials on things like COVID information, suppressing the Hunter Biden story, well, kind of just influencing the election for the corrupt left, and also reminding you that it would be impossible for voter fraud to happen unless it's 2016, and manipulating people into becoming experimental guinea pigs. Well, I guess it appears on the surface of Instagram and Facebook that Zuckerberg's been involved in enough corruption in the past couple months that he's been called in to testify before Senate committees twice. But nothing is as it seems. You're forgetting that his corrupt leftist friends are on those same committees, so he's got nothing to worry about. You thought he'd get in trouble or be held accountable? Aside from the connections I've already mentioned, there is zero evidence to suggest that Zuckerberg would be reporting Instagram and Facebook users to those same people for violating their mandates. He probably doesn't even have their phone number anymore, so he couldn't even tell them about you if he wanted to. Well, I guess there is the consideration that Zuckerberg and Facebook are being sued by the federal government in 48 states for breaking antitrust laws. But you don't have anything to worry about here, because if history has taught us anything, it's that when someone is found guilty of being antitrustworthy in a federal court, it somehow makes them more trustworthy, doesn't it? This just in. Change the subject now or you're fired. How will Instagram and Facebook use your data? The new terms state, we use the information we have to conduct and support research and innovation on topics of general social welfare, public interest, health, and well-being. That feels true. And it feels true to you too, especially if you watch Social Dilemma and then forget what you watched. They're invading your privacy and spying on you because they care, people. Just like how a stalker spies on their victim because they care about them. Not because they're acting out unacceptable sociopathic behavior. And it's also the same pattern the government has of taking people's freedoms and telling them, it's because we're protecting you. Is this making a little bit of sense now? And the best part of Instagram's new terms is that if you've used Instagram, then you've already agreed to them. Of course that should be considered consent. If you don't think this sounds right, then you're clearly working with the wrong definition of consent. Instagram uses Bill Cosby's definition of the word. Like if Bill's been out on a date with a woman and he's like, of course it was consensual. She was unconscious, so she didn't say no. Instagram is protecting you the way Bill Cosby protects women. There you have it. Conclusive science that Instagram's new terms of use are clearly in your best interest. Conspiracy theorists can go on with their baseless thinking as they believe that an invasion of privacy is an invasion of privacy. Nut jobs. When we gaslight you, we pretend that we're not doing what we're doing to you. Do you even know the definition of the term gaslighting? We're not gaslighting you. To Instagram's service to humanity, we here at the station say, thank you, Instagram. Hi, Mark. He's been listening to this whole thing. Go back to sleep now. I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Supernatural. When I'm not doing comedy, I'm typically cleaning my house. And the only type of cleaning products I'm willing to use are Supernatural for a few reasons. Just take a seat on my toilet and tell you about it. But one of the reasons why I love Supernatural is because it is in fact supernatural, which means the product is made of only plants, minerals, and essential oils, which protects me and my family from harmful chemicals. And Supernatural's essential oils leave an aromatherapy that you'll absolutely love, and I dare say it enlivens my day. I also love Supernatural because the products simply work. They effectively clean your home without leaving toxic residues, but they leave your home smelling better than before they're found out. Another thing that I love, and I think you'll love too, is Supernatural products and the company protect the earth. And here's how they do it. When you order the Supernatural starter set, you get 4 beautiful etched glass bottles sent to you, which are refillable. So anytime you run out of product, you're not just using more and more plastic and damaging the earth that way. And in the starter set, you get 4 conscious concentrates, which you add to your bottles and then add a little bit of water and you're good to go. And then when you're running low on Supernatural, you just order more conscious concentrates. They arrive, you refill your bottles, and you're protecting the earth while cleaning your home. And with each purchase of a Supernatural starter set, Supernatural also plants 2 trees to help offset any carbon footprint. So unless you hate having a clean home that smells great, you hate your family and hate the earth, then I think you'll love Supernatural. To get your Supernatural starter set and enliven your life in your home, just go to supernatural.com/JP.